Hey, what's up? Welcome back to this new video. This one is paper 1-2 of May and June 2022 for Add Math paper 1. Now with that being said, obviously let's move on to the questions. As you guys must know by now, we will have also be given a list of formula to help us for the rest of this paper. Okay, so let's move on to question number 1. So here we have a graph. Given to you, we have a few values here: minus 180, 180, okay, and a value of 2, 8, okay. Now the diagram shows the graph of y equal to a sine bx plus c. So we know this has to be a sine graph according to the question, right? Where a, b, and c are integers. So now we have to understand integers are what? Integers are whole numbers. They are whole numbers. Okay, so how can this help you? So in the end, usually if let's say you do something wrong in the question, your answer is some kind of decimal, you know, okay, maybe that's not right because the question tells you they are integers, so a, b, and c has to be integers. Maybe something is wrong. So that's sometime it can help you to not do a mistake in the end. So that's the main idea here. Now, for this domain of minus 180, as you can see right here, to 180, okay. Now we have to use the graph to find the values of a, b, and c. So now let's break this down. Break this equation down first. We do know that here we have y equal to a sine bx plus c. Okay, so by now we should know that the constant here in front of the function itself is called the amplitude, right? Amplitude. That's number one. Okay, and the value of c here, it is simply the y-intercept, where the curves cuts your y-axis. So we kind of have to know what these values represent. Now b is a bit special. So b, we actually use b. B is used to find period of a graph, of the graph. Now, and what is the formula for that? We know to find period, we take, here we are working in degrees, so we take 360 degrees, divide by the value of b, must give you the period t. Again, you can call this p if you want to, but usually we denote period by the letter t for these kind of examples. So once we know what they represent, we can break this down one by one. Okay, so first thing first, the easiest one obviously is to find the value of c. C is the y-intercept, where your curve cuts your y-axis. So here we have the y-axis. You can see my curve cuts my y-axis right here at this point. Right. What is the value? Let's have a look. So this is 2. This is should be 1. Minus 1. Minus 2. That should be minus 3. So by observation, the value of c has to be minus 3. By observation, right, on the graph. Now, what is my value of a? A is the amplitude. Now, how do you define amplitude? Amplitude is basically, let's count. So here we have what? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 is the whole thing. So the height of the graph is 10. So what is a half of 10? Half of 10 is 5. So at 5, we'll have the center line of the graph. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the center line of the graph will be right here. For example, now we do understand that the amplitude is the distance from the center line to the peak or the bottom of the graph. So this distance here is called amplitude, and this distance here is also called the amplitude. So let's count what is that distance. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So from observation again, we derive the value of A to be the value of 5. So right now we have A and C, so we have to find the value of B. Now, obviously, we don't know B, but we know T. How? The period is given to you by the graph. We have to observe what is a period. So the period is defined by what? Is basically, we have to understand it is the domain taken, or the distance in the horizontal distance needed to complete one cycle. For example, if my graph begins here, to complete one cycle, it will take me from here, goes up till down until here. One cycle. This second cycle, third cycle, and fourth cycle. But I just need to know for one, so I can see that my graph completes one cycle between this length. Right? If that makes sense. It begins here, it goes up, it goes down, it comes back to this original position. So that's one complete cycle. Now, what is this distance? We have to measure the value. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That should be 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, so this whole distance here is 18, which means 1 square is 10. Now the value here has to be what? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That should be minus 90. Now, the distance here is what? From minus 90 to minus 180, the distance here is 90 degrees. Do we agree? The distance, not the difference, or I mean difference, yes, but the main value is distance. Now we understand that the distance is the period here, so we know that 360 divided by B is going to be 90. Now we can solve. Cross multiply, you will have B here. You have 360 here. We bring this down, that will be 90. Now obviously you can use your calculator, why not? You will have the value of B is equal to 4. Okay, so just to recap real quick, amplitude is the distance between the center line to the peak or the bottom of the graph. The value of C is just a y-intercept where the graph cuts your y-axis. And finally, to find B, we must know the period. The period is the length, the distance between 2 points when your graph completes one cycle. It begins here, it comes back here in this distance, so this will be called your period, T. Now using that, replace back in your formula to find the value of B. And that is your question number 1. Now let's move on to your question number 2. Given that x is equal to this and y plus 2 is equal to this, we have to find y in terms of x. So we have to find a new equation using these two equations where we have y equal to something something x, but these have to be gone. We don't need a third variable, so we don't need this one. Now again, the question is, where have we seen these things? You could say, okay, maybe when I was looking through this page, I saw a few things. I saw these things over here, right? So let me write this down on the side, so we may use them in this question or not. So here we have sec square theta is equal to 1 plus tan square theta. Or we can have cosec square theta is equal to 1 plus cot square theta. This is again given to you on your list of formula, nothing crazy, okay? Okay, so let's solve. Let's try our best to see what can be done. Okay, so sec square theta is equal to this. So we can try to replace this, see what happens. So x is equal to sec square theta is 1 plus tan square theta. Now there's a few things we must know is that, for example, we can know what? We can know that tan square theta is actually 1 over cos square theta. So we have to know that to help us simplify these equations. So this is something we have to know. So let's replace. Let's see what happens. So you have x here, 1 plus 1 over cot square theta. Now we can definitely replace the cot square theta by this value. You will have x is equal to 1 plus 1 over y plus 2. Why can we do this? Because we know that cos square theta is y plus 2. So once we express this in this way, we understand that this also represents this. We can replace this by this in this equation. Now you can see we don't have any theta in this equation. We just have to express y in terms of x. So we just have to make y become subject of formula. So first I can send this over here. You will have x minus 1 is 1 over 1 plus 2. What is this? This is also this over 1, right? Makes sense. Doesn't really matter, right? Now we can just cross multiply. So the idea is where I can send this to the bottom and this on the top. That will become y plus 2, 1 over x minus 1. Now finally, y can be sent to the other side. Right. Obviously, you can simplify this further by expressing this as a single fraction. It's up to you, but that will be your question number 2. I think the main takeaway here is to use these formulas if you want to. And then just to know this is an ID that we have to know to solve this. I guess through practice and experience, it will come naturally. We'll find that. Now again, if some people want to use the sine square theta plus cos square theta, it is also possible, but it will just take a bit longer to in those, because we do know that we also know that sec square theta is also 1 over 1 over cos. And also this one, we do know that cot square theta is cos square theta over sin square theta. So these are the ideas we kind of must know now, so that we can use them in the case we are not able to find our answer easily to find the required answer. Again, in this case, it was pretty straightforward. We just have to play with the numbers, cross multiply, and make y become the subject. And that will be your question number 2. Now let's move on to question number 3. So here we have variables x and y are such that when the log of 2y plus 1 is plotted against x squared, we have a straight line graph passing through these points is obtained. Okay, so I hope you guys know by now, usually when we have a straight line graph, what is our equation? You would say a straight line equation looks like y is equal to mx plus c. Now in this case, our variable was y and x. You agree? When we say usually, I guess in O-level paper, I would say in paper 1, 2 or 2, 2, we do learn that if we plot y against x, if we have a straight line, the equation will look something like this. Now, using the same kind of idea, here you can see we plotted log of 2y plus 1 against x squared. And by doing this, we got a straight line, which means that if we have to guess the equation of a straight line, it will be something like log of 2y plus 1 is equal to m x squared plus c. I hope that kind of makes sense, right? Because We're trying to see or understand what's happening so we can find those missing values. So this, for example, when y was a variable and x was a variable here, for the straight line, we had something like this. Now in this case, we had this and this against this. We got a straight line, so our equation will have to look something like this. So if you understand that basic right now, if you have any other questions relating to this topic, eventually you will know exactly what to do if you understand this right now. So we have these two passing points. Now we do know that if you have 2 points on a straight line, we can find the gradient. And by comparison, you can see we do know this is what? When I give you this equation, you would say, okay, m, what is m? M is the gradient. We have seen this many times before, right? And c is again the y-intercept. So same logic here as well. M is also the gradient of the straight line. So let's find that. Since we have 2 passing points, we can find the gradient. So the gradient m is equal to this value. As we have seen, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Same concept. 5 minus 1 over 2 minus 1. That will be the value of 4. Okay, so right now we have this value. The log of is equal to 4 x squared plus c. Now obviously we have to find this missing value. We can use one of these passing points to find that missing value. So let's use the point, let me use the point 1, 1. Seems to be the easiest, right? So I'll use the point 1, 1. What does it mean in this case? In this case, obviously, this is not x, this is not y, because we have seen that it is log of this is against this. So it means that if I take the point 1, 1, so this will have to be x squared, and this have to be log of 2y plus 1. Hopefully that makes sense. When we plot y against x, when we take a point, we call this x and y because we plot y against x. Now when you plot this against this, similarly, we'll call the first value x squared, and the second value this one. Replace back in your equation, let's see what happens. This whole thing here is 1, is 4 times x squared is 1 plus c. So c will have to be 1 minus 4 has to be minus 3. So for now we have what? The log of 2y plus 1 is equal to 4x squared minus 3. So that's what we have for now. Now we don't have any missing values. We just have to express y in terms of x. We have to make y become subject of the formula. Now, of course, we do have to know a few rules of logarithms. For example, here, what is this? This implies log to the base of 10. Hopefully, you guys know. When you have ln, it implies log to the base of e. Now, let's say I have log to the base of 10, some value x here, is equal to 3. Find the value of x. How would you find this? You would say x is equal to, we send this here, 10 power 3. So same idea here. We have log to the base of 10. Here we have some value that we don't know. E is equal to 4x squared minus 3. So how would you find the value inside? You would just write this value inside and send this over here. That will be 10 power 4x squared minus 3. Now step by step, make y become subject. So 2y is equal to 10 4x squared minus 3. Send this over here, become minus 1. And finally, y has to be the whole thing minus 1 divided by 2. So this is your answer for your question, expressing y in terms of x. Okay, so that is part A of your question. Now let's move on to part B. So we have to find the value of y when x equal to this. Okay, replace back in your equation. So when x equal to this, so x is this, which means 4x x squared. If you square this value, that will become 3 over 4. Here we have minus 3. This will go away, and 3 minus 3 should be 0. So replace, you have y is equal to 10 power what? So this became 0 minus 1 over 2. Now anything power 0 is 1 minus 1 over 2. So 1 minus 1 is 0 over 2. So that value will be 0. Now you can always check, right? So what is something power 0? So let's say 10 power 0 should be 1. Okay, so confirmed. Anything power 0 should be 1. That is part B of your question. Now let's move on to part C of your question. So find the value of x when y is equal to 2. Same way of thinking. Replace back in your equation and then see what happens. Okay. So we can use this equation, or we can use the initial equation, this one. Because if we use this, we have to work it back to this. So let's begin here right away, right? Because we need to find x, we have to find x become subject. So again, no confusion, you can always use this same equation, make x become subject to find the value of x. Or I can start here to make my life easier. I can make x the subject easily with this equation. So that will be log of 2y, so 2 times y plus 1 is equal to 4x squared minus 3. That will be log of 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5, right? Is equal to 4x squared minus 3. Now, 4x squared is equal to 3, send this over here, 3 plus log of 5 x squared is equal to 3 plus log of 5 over the value of 4. So finally, x has to be square root of 3 plus this over 4. Now, of course, you can evaluate to find the exact value. It's up to you. Correct your 3SF. So log of 5 plus 3 divided by 4. Root of that, you have 0.962. Correct your 3SF. Now again, it only asks you for one of the values. So usually, you know, when you apply square root, you have plus or minus. But in this case, it only asks you for one of the values. So the value, you can just keep this as your answer. 0.962 should be fine. Or this one as well should be the exact value of x. And that should be your question number 3. Now let's move on to question number 4. So here we have to find the unit vector in the same direction as this. Now let's say we had a vector A. So how do you find the unit vector? You will take the vector A, divide by its amplitude. Okay, so this is how you find a unit vector. So how do you find this? So how do you find the amplitude of this one? Pretty easy. The amplitude is simply the square root, square the first value, so minus 15 square. Let's try this. Minus 15 square, so minus 15 square, plus the other one, 8 square. That should be 289. Now if you have to square root this value, that will give you 17. So the unit vector has to be the vector itself divided by its amplitude. Obviously, you can simplify. That should be minus 15 over 17, 8 over 17. So these will be the value itself. Now for part B, what do we have? Given that we have this sum here, we have to find the values of A and B. Again, step by step, how do we perform this? We do understand that we take the first line. If we add 2A plus 4B minus 12, we're supposed to get this. So 4 times B minus 4A. Now this will cancel out, right? Send this over here. You will have 2 plus this will be 6. Send this, that will be 12. So A will be the value of 2. So A will be 2. Now the other one will be, here we have minus 5 plus 3 is equal to 4A plus 8B. Now simplify obviously. So here we have what? Minus 5 plus 3 will be minus 2 is equal to 4 times A plus 8B. Now minus 2 is equal to 8 plus 8B. So 8B, we send this over here. So minus 2 minus 8 should be minus 10. So B will be minus 10 over 8. So you can always use your calculator if you want to. That makes your life easier. Now you minus 1.25 for the value of B. This is your question number 4. I think this is pretty easy. Number 4. I hope you guys get your full mark for that one. Now let's move on to question number 5. So here we have what? The first 3 terms in ascending powers of x. It means that we start from the lowest power going up. Ascending means from the lowest power, increasing power, right? Now in the expansion of this one, so it means that here we care about this expansion. We have 1 plus x over 6 power 12 and 2 minus 3y power 3. This can be written in this form. Okay, cool. The first 3 terms. So we only care about the first 3 terms of this expansion, or we only care about until the power of x squared. Basically, we can understand that from this question. That's what we care about. The rest, whatever happens, we don't really care. Now, where p and q are constants, we have to find the values of p and q. Okay, so step by step. If you were to expand this and this, so let's do one by one. For example, let's try to expand this. Again, this is done by using the formula we have on our sheet, or I think with practice, you guys should be able to kind of know what to do now. So we have this. So 1 plus. Now again, I don't like to repeat this every time. So let's say y is equal to x over 6. So plus y power 12. Now, in this expansion, we only care until x squared. So let me try to expand this until x squared. Right, for it to make sense. So first thing first will be 12 combination 0. Then we have the first term here. Then here we have plus y right here. This will be 0. This also will be 0. 12 minus 0 will be 12. First term plus 12 combination 1. So from 0 goes to 1. And here we have 1, so that'll be 1 here. Here we have plus y, so plus y, y. This is 1, this will be 1. 12 minus 1 is 11. And finally, we have 12 combination 2. That'll be 1, y. This will be 2, this will be 10. Okay, so we can stop here because, as I've said before, we only care until x squared. Right. So 12 combination 0, so we can always check, no big deal. Combination 0, that will be 1. So 1. 1 power 12 is 1. Something power 0 is 1. Plus 12 combination 1 is 12. You can check, obviously. This is 1. This will be y. 12 combination 2, let's check. That will be 66. So 66. That will be 1, and that will be y squared. Now simplify again, obviously, so 1 times 1 times 1, that will be 1, right? 12 times y will be 12y, plus 6y squared will be 66y squared. Obviously, we can replace it back by our initial replacement. We know y is actually equal to this, so let's bring this back. That will be 1 plus 12, y is actually x over 6. Plus 66 x over 6 square. Simplify. 1 plus, this will go away. This will be 2, right? So 6 times 2 is 12, so 2 remaining. X plus what? Here we have 66 divided by, this is 6 squared will be 36. That will be this. In fraction mode, that will be 1, 5 over 6 x squared. Or we can definitely re-simplify this if you want. That will be in the end 1 plus 2x plus 1 times 6 is 6 plus 5 is 11, so 11 over 6 x squared. So this is the first 3 terms of this expansion, and we will have something like this. Now let's look at this one. So here we have 2 minus 3x power 3. Same thing again. So let's try to expand this step by step. So here we have 3, combination 0. First value is 2. Second value is minus 3x. Here we have 0. This will be 0. 3 minus 0 is 3. Next one, plus 3 combination 1. This will be 2 minus 3x. This is 1. This will be 1. 3 minus 1 is 2. 3 combination 2. That will be 2 here, minus 3x. This will be 2. This will be 2. 3 minus 2 is the value of 1. And finally, of course, we don't need this one because we only care about until the expansion to x squared. But again, let's write this down for now, no big deal. Because that's only one thing extra, so that will be 3 here and that will be 0. Okay, so let's simplify. 3 combination 0 will be 1. 2 power 3 will be 8, and that will be anything power 0 is 1. 3 combination 1 is 3. That will be 4, and that will be minus 3x. So basically step by step. It's not that complicated right now. So we have 3 combination 2 should be 6. No, it's 3. Yeah, my mistake. So 3, this will be 2, and that will be 9x squared. This should be 1, but let's try. 3 combination 3 is 1, and that should be 1, and that should be minus 27x cubed. But again, I think we know that we don't need anything in x cubed, so we can just ignore the last term. Now let's simplify. So here what do we have? 1 times 8 times 1, that will be 8. And here we have minus, so minus 3 times 3, that should be minus 9. Minus 9 times 4 should be minus 36. Again, I would recommend using a calculator because you do not want to be making silly mistakes in those expansion, right? So use a calculator always to help you with that. So we have 3 times 2 times 9, so use a calculator. 3 times 2 times 9, that will be plus 54 x squared. Now this one we can leave this as outside because we don't need anything in powers of x3. Now obviously replace back in your main equation, so we know this was found to be this, at least the first 3 terms, and this, the first 3 terms, was given by this. So right now after doing this, we replace back in the main equation. So here we have 1 plus 2x plus 11 over 6 x squared multiplied by 8 minus 36x plus 54 x squared. So we do know if you expand this, you were supposed to get something like this according to your question. And how do we solve this question? By comparison, right? So here we have 8, and the coefficient of x is p, and the coefficient of x squared will be q. X is p, and x squared will be q. So we have to expand this and compare and see what can we have. So one by one, if you take 1 multiply by this, you will have the same thing. 8 minus 36x plus 54x squared. Now again, remember we only care about the terms until x squared. Anything past that, we don't really care, right? Now we take plus 2x multiplied by this, you will have what? You will have 2 times 8 will be plus 16x. 2 times 36 minus 36 will be minus 72, but let's check. 2 times minus 36 will be minus 72x squared. And if you take this term, this will be x cubed, but we don't care about cube, so we can leave this alone. Now for the last one, we take this, multiply by this, will give you what? So 11 over 6 times 8. That will be 14, so plus 14, 2 over 3, x squared. And for the rest we don't need because it will be extra, right? Power 3, power 4, we don't really care about those. Now we have to simplify this. So this is 8, right? minus 36 plus this, so minus 36 plus 16, that'll be minus 20. 54 minus 72 plus 14, 2, 3. That should be minus 3, 1 over 3, x squared. Now, we do understand this is supposed to be this. Now, by comparison, you can see p, it is in front of x. This is in front of x, so p is minus 20. By comparison, q is in front of x squared. Here we have this. So which means q has to be minus 3, 1/3. Of course, you can give your answer like this, or if you want to, you can always expand to make this an improper fraction. Now this will be your question number 5. Let's move on to question number 6. So what do you have here? We have the polynomial p of x is equal to 6x cubed plus ax squared plus 6. I hope the first half of the video was somewhat helpful. If you guys would love to access the full video, feel free to click on the Patreon link on the main page, or otherwise, you can go to the description below and click on this link to access the Patreon page for the full video. With that being said, good luck and thank you for watching.